She-Hulk, the final episode, episode 9. This episode is really interesting. It does a lot of things that are very unique and very different. So I'm going to recommend you watch this one before watching my review, because I'm going to just go full spoilers. And this episode is by far the most unique and the most interesting, I think. So if you don't want like any spoilers or anything, I think I recommend watching at least this episode. I think it has some really, really interesting ideas and some fun surprises, and I think it's worth your time. So that being gotten out of the way, let's go full into this final episode. So the episode opens, and right away they're playing around. They're doing different things. It opens with a parody of the 70s Incredible Hulk series like intro theme song, but with Jen instead. And it's kind of awesome. A lot of it is just like recreating shot for shot, but then there's some stuff where it's like they just inserted her into old footage and it looks really good. And then I think they just got a tall lady and did a bunch of makeup to make her green to replicate like Lou Ferrigno's portrayal of the Hulk, and it looks like pretty good. My only problem with this sequence is that it didn't happen earlier in the show, because it's cool and great and I want more. On top of that, gonna bring it up. I mean, I might be wrong. I might have to rewatch this episode, but hey, look, it's a tall lady painted green for portraying She-Hulk, because She-Hulk is basically just a tall green lady. It looks pretty good to me. I don't know. Maybe you could have just done that instead of spending the entire budget on Gen CG that looks pretty good for what they're going for, but also, I'm sure, put tons of VFX artists through a shitload of stress. I don't know. Just a thought.
So after rewatching this clip, I'm pretty sure it's actually Tatiana Maslany in like heavy makeup and like a muscle suit, which is honestly even cooler to me, because for a moment I was fooled into thinking it was a different person. And that's with makeup that's done like to intentionally look cheesy. So imagine what they could have done if they like tried to make it look good.
Anyways, we get back into the actual plot of the episode, and we get into the stuff that they've been building to, which is the She-Hulk incel group is gathering their forces or whatever. Jen is arrested briefly, but she makes a plea deal. She gets fired from her job, and at least temporarily moves back in with her parents, because like there's paparazzi and people around her apartment harassing her. And she has to give up her powers. They give her a little ankle thing that prevents her from changing, which is something they established way earlier in the season, but then they like never went into like where that technology came from and like what the purpose of it was and like why it was introduced and stuff. And I think it was for this. And I'm also just realizing now that they actually set it up in the first episode, because Bruce had a device that he was playing with that could turn him back into Bruce Banner from the Hulk, which was a thing set up in fucking Shang-Chi that they just like had to explain in this show. Because then Abomination has the same device later, and that's part of why he's allowed to be set free. And I'm just realizing now that I think those are all supposed to be the same device. That's never established. I don't know like if there's a scene that was cut or what, but that feels like that's what that's supposed to be. Because otherwise it's like perfect rule of threes, and it like is set up earlier and it comes back. Like otherwise, why are you having? I don't know. It's weird. Anyways, I'm off track. The point is, she's no longer She-Hulk. She's just Jen. She doesn't have a job anymore. Meanwhile, Lady and male lawyer guy are investigating the Hulk incel group. Jen decides to take Blonsky up on his offer to come and visit anytime. So she goes to visit him. Oopsie doopsie, turns out Blonsky's connected to the Hulk incel group, and the whole season has been building to this, where that one guy that she went on a date with and was kind of gross, Turns out he was behind it all. He was behind everything. That's why he kept showing up a couple more times. I don't think I mentioned that because I didn't realize it was supposed to be important. But he was behind it all along.
I knew you knew I knew all along. All along. All along.
And he stole her blood, and he injects himself with the blood, and he turns all Hulk. Oh, but then Bruce shows up, and then fucking Titania shows up, and Blonsky is there, and he's Abomination again, and and it's gonna be a big old dumb Hulk fight. And then She-Hulk's like, okay, stop for a sec. Really? This is where the season was going? This is the best we could do? This is dumb. I'm stopping this. And then the episode exits out into the Disney Plus homepage, and She-Hulk leaves her little the little square of the She-Hulk show, and then hops over to the Assembled series, which is the Marvel's behind the scenes featurette series that they do on all their different Disney Plus projects and stuff, and jumps into that, and through that she's able to go to Marvel Studios, which I think is great. It's a perfect She-Hulk bit. It's exactly the kind of thing we would have seen in the Sensational run. It's the kind of thing I was really hoping the show would do, but kind of not expecting it to go this weird and crazy. And it finally did, and that's cool, and I like where this little storyline goes, but at the same time, I'm kind of why did it take 9 episodes to do this? This is cool and interesting, and very different from any other fucking Marvel thing. It's different from Deadpool as well. Deadpool didn't go this weird and far with its fourth wall stuff. The craziest thing that happened in that is he is in the end of the second one, he kills Ryan Reynolds before he can make Green Lantern, which is a pretty funny bit. But again, it's just a bit, really, and it's not really a meta commentary on anything. It's just a funny joke that's a kind of in-joke to fans of comic books and Ryan Reynolds and stuff. So She-Hulk goes to Marvel Studios, and she bursts into the writer's room, and you can see, I know for sure that the main showrunner of the series, I forget her name, but she's definitely there, and I'm guessing some of the other writers are in this writer's room as well. It'd be kind of a waste if they didn't put the actual writers in the scene. Anyways, so she's talking to them, and they have their whole mood board of the different episode arcs and stuff like that. And she's like, really? We're just doing they steal my blood, and then there's a bad Hulk, and I gotta fight the bad Hulk, because fucking every other Marvel thing is just the bad guy tries to replicate the powers of the good guy, and then then you have to fight him at the end, because that's how Marvel does it. It's we really don't have anything else to say or do with the season than that. And they're like, well, I don't know. That's what Kevin wanted. That's what Kevin is. He's in charge, and Kevin told us to do this. And she's like, all right, fucking, I'm gonna go talk to Kevin then. Of course, they're building up that Kevin. We think the audience is that they're talking about Kevin Feige, God of Marvel Studios. So she goes to meet Kevin, and it's revealed that Kevin is actually an acronym, and I forgot what it stands for, but it's a robot, basically. And it's basically the robot from WALL-E, the bad robot from WALL-E. Do you remember that guy? I want to say his name is Oscar, but I don't think that's right. Otto, that's it. I remembered it. It's the evil robot from WALL-E, but he's Kevin Feige, and she has this conversation with Kevin, which represents the higher ups at Marvel Studios, and I think this is a brilliant sequence. Kevin's like, well, yeah, you have to fight the evil version of you at the end of the thing. That's what Marvel fans want. It's proven. The algorithm proves it works every time. We've made a lot of money. That you got to do it. That's how it goes. And she's like, that's kind of boring and not that interesting, and it's been done a bunch of times already, and can't we do something else that's different? And I like the sequence a lot. I think it's really cool. I love the idea of Kevin Feige is not really a person as much as he is a state of mind, you know? And it's the machine of Marvel Studios. It's not run by creatives anymore. It's a factory. It's a story factory, sure, but it's kind of more just they make products, and the products have a very consistent formula that they stick to, and as long as they don't stray too far from that formula, you know, it's been proven that they'll make a lot of money. And for the most part, that's been true. And they're kind of like doing a meta thing on that. And I like all that stuff a lot. I think it's really, really clever. I wish we got it earlier in the season, because you had to sit through 9 episodes of like fairly standard Marvel plot stuff. There's some bad guys that are gonna make an evil Hulk. Ooh, fucking whatever. Until finally we get like something new and interesting, and it's in the last episode of the show. So she's like, just get rid of all that. I think that's dumb. All we need is he should be the Hulk King, the bad guy. Just have him be held accountable for his actions and be charged with, you know, the laws that he broke. Like fucking hacking my phone and stealing all my information and stealing my blood and all that stuff. That's plenty of things to be held accountable for, and he should go to jail from that. I'll do it myself. That's all we need. Just do that. Kevin's like, fine, whatever, we'll change that. And she's like, also, do we really need Bruce to show up? It's supposed to be my show. Let me do that. And they're like, oh, well, we want to set up other stuff. And she's like, I don't care. I do not care. Let me have my own show for at least a little bit. And she's like, and bring Daredevil back because he's great. and Kevin's like, yeah, sure, okay. So then they just kind of resolve that. It's just over now. There's no fight. It's just done. And Daredevil's there, and they all go back to Jen's house, and they have a family barbecue, like exactly like in the ending of every single Fast and the Furious movie. And it's exactly those scenes from Fast and the Furious. And then Hulk shows up, and he does the moment from, I believe it's Fast and Furious 8 or Fate of the Furious, whatever the fuck that one was called, where at the end, Vin Diesel's like, everyone meet my son, Brian. And it's like named after Brian, Paul Walker's character, of course. And they do that scene, and he's like, meet my son, Scar. And that's the like little cliffhanger thing, I guess, to like set up whatever the next thing that Hulk is going to be in is. Okay, briefly, some thoughts on Planet Hulk stuff. So Scar is a character for a setup in Planet Hulk. I don't think it makes sense to be doing him here, because the MCU's version of Planet Hulk is very, very different from the one in the comics. And I know a lot of people really want to see more of the Planet Hulk stuff. I don't think it makes sense to do that. It's sort of Planet Hulk, which is a story I adore. I think it's wonderful. One of the best Hulk stories, maybe the best one. It's mostly a self-contained Marvel book, although it is like very continuity heavy in certain aspects, and of course it leads directly into World War Hulk, which does affect the rest of the MCU, and it's kind of like the Dune Messiah of Planet Hulk's Dune. I was thinking about this earlier today. Anyways, the point is, Scar, Hulk's son, is a character that's set up in that arc, and he shows up later after that arc is done. So like that's the thing to set up here. But like the MCU's version of Planet Hulk is like very different, and it was in a Thor movie, and like I was fine with that because the MCU is nothing but different versions of the characters and the stories that we've seen in the comics. It doesn't always make sense to just do exactly the thing from the comics because you're working off of a different established continuity. So Scar, okay, here's my problem with having Scar show up. Did Hulk fuck on Sakaar in Thor Ragnarok? Because that version of the Hulk was like very set up to be like a child. Like he had the intelligence of like a little kid. So if he fucked, which is what happened in the comic, which makes sense in the comic because he's not a child in the in that, then it's like weird for him to be there. Like we met Korg and Meek in Ragnarok, who are crucial characters in the Planet Hulk arc, but they're completely different in the comic than they are in the movie.
Korg, we can't defeat them. Only you can.
They are my brothers.
My name is Korg. I'm kind of like the leader in here. I'm made of rocks, as you can see, but don't let that intimidate you. You don't need to be afraid unless you're made of scissors. Just a little rock, paper, scissors joke for you.
So, do I want to see Kiara or Sayara? I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. Anyways, this character from Planet Hulk, the comics, yeah, I think she's fucking cool. I don't know how you would make it work, though, because Hulk was like a little baby in Thor Ragnarok, so if he fucked a regular-ass adult woman, that's kind of weird, right? I'm just asking the questions that you've made me ask, Marvel. Don't put this on me. You're the one who made him a baby on Planet Hulk, which I'm fine with because it's like a different thing. I could just read Planet Hulk if I want. I don't need to bring in every aspect of the story. I could just read it. I'm okay. I know lots of Marvel fans are like, we gotta do Planet Hulk again. They didn't do it right. Shut up. I don't care. You got him in the armor, which is like the main thing you wanted. Shut up. I've lost my mind and my train of thought. I might need to rewatch this one because there's a lot in it that's very unique and very different, and there's a lot that I'm not sure how I feel about exactly. But my main takeaway is I think all of this stuff with She-Hulk going to Marvel Studios and talking to the writer's room and Kevin Feige being a weird robot that runs the entire MCU on essentially just an algorithm, I think is brilliant and great. And I wish that we had way more of that earlier on in the show. Because otherwise it's just 8 episodes of like whatever Marvel stuff and then 1 episode that subverts things. But you have to wait 9 weeks and 8 episodes of regular stuff to get to the like really interesting thing. And I don't know if that's like narratively satisfying for the season as a whole. Because we spent so much time like building up this, people are trying to steal the Hulk's blood, and there's this evil She-Hulk incel group, and isn't that like dark and creepy? And actually none of it matters because She-Hulk's gonna fucking explode out of Disney Plus and go to Marvel Studios. So, which is cool, but it's like you could have started there, right? Or done that way earlier in the season. So, I don't know, is my takeaway of this one. I think it has a lot of really interesting ideas. Like, they do stuff that I was, like, basically pitching in my pitch video from earlier on in this whole journey. So, like, I was excited to see all that stuff. But it's just, like, then, like, what is the arc of the season? She does regular lawyer stuff, kind of, and then eventually she's like, this show is not that good. Kevin Feige, what gives? And it's like, why didn't you say that earlier? So, I don't know. I'm going to do a longer, like, post-mortem re-look at the whole series as a whole and try to, like, analyze it more and break it down a little bit more. This is just my sort of immediate first reactions and thoughts. All that stuff is also not necessarily bad either, because like maybe they're hoping for a season 2 to explore some of these like more interesting weirder ideas more, or like they have plans for her to be in something else that'll develop the character further and stuff. But like I don't know that like Jen really went through much of an arc this season, you know, and the main like plot kind of didn't really end up mattering, which is interesting because of the way that they like subvert that, but it's not like super satisfying necessarily because I've been watching this fucking show for 9 weeks and then like at the end of it they're like none of that stuff matters that much, and I don't know that like that works, you know, as like a whole. And it's like if you knew you were going to end up subverting all this stuff, then why did we spend so much time building it up? If it was like gonna, and it's like, why not just get to the cool, crazy, weird stuff way earlier on in the season? Or why not have less episodes? And then it doesn't matter that it's like built up for so long. But I think that's it for now. I'm gonna do a longer season analysis video later on. And really dive into some of these questions. Thank you so much for watching. You can also check out, I'm doing Danny Phantom month, where every October I like to make videos about Danny Phantom, so there's a couple of those out. I did a video about the upcoming Danny Phantom graphic novel, so you can check that out if you're interested. Otherwise, that concludes my reactions to the She-Hulk show as it was happening. And stay tuned for more She-Hulk content eventually. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, hit the bell if you want to find out actually when I'm getting new videos. And what did you think? Leave a comment. That's it. See you next time.